Hello and welcome to episode 85 of On the Bench, the podcast for scale modelers by scale modelers, all about scale models. And this episode is being brought to you through the generous support of Philippe Lafreniere, who has decided to become a Patreon supporter. You too can help support the show by simply going to www.patreon.com/onthebench and pledge any amount from $1 upwards. Your contributions are greatly appreciated and help us to cover our production and hosting costs. The Scale Modeler Supply. Certified Australian made, the Scale Modeler Supply has created a comprehensive range of premium acrylic lacquer paints that have been specifically developed to cater for the scale modeler. Designed to use straight from the bottle, SMS paints have taken all the guesswork out of airbrushing. Simply shake the durable glass bottle and pour and spray for a fast drying and extremely durable result. The ever-growing range of SMS paints will suit all types of model builders, be it military, aircraft, train, car, science fiction or Gunpla. SMS premium acrylic lacquer paints will have the colour to suit you. The Modeler Supply is also your one-stop shop for all weathering, brushes, masking, tools and other accessory needs. SMS paints and tools and accessories are available either directly from their website www.scalemodeler.com.au or through stockists across Australia, New Zealand, Singapore and the USA. And as a special bonus exclusive to our On The Bench listeners, you will get 10% off your next order by using the promo code OTB2020 when ordering direct from Scale Modeler. So go now to www.scalemodeler.com.au and place your order. We know you won't be disappointed. And hello and welcome to the show. And of course in the studio I've got Ian.
G'day Dave, g'day listeners.
And Julian.
Good morning.
How are we, guys?
Oh, fantastic.
How's our modelling fortnight been? Because it's been a fortnight since we had the last show.
Okay, I repainted the undersides of the buffalo.
Oh.
Because it's silver.
Yes.
It looked great. Then I painted it, and then with the silver, because it's such fine silver, because I'm using the Gunz aluminium in the gold-coloured tin.
The Mr. Metal colour.
Yes, and with some of the Gunz levelling thinners, and every micro scratch just jumped out. And I was like, oh, this just looks terrible. So I resanded the whole bottom, puttied up some areas that I'd missed, and repainted it. So all the white's painted, silver's painted. The Montex masks are on, so hopefully this afternoon I can start putting some top colours on the two greens.
Very good.
And then once that's done, I can clear coat it and then put my 5 decals on.
I thought you weren't using decals. I thought you were doing masks.
Most masks, but some of the masks, like there's these tiny little 3110s on the leading edges.
Oh, okay.
And they're way too small for masks.
Yep.
So they're decals. The rhinoceros badge on the front fuse is a decal, and the pilot's name. Yeah. And that's it. Everything else will be painted.
Very good. Julian, what have you been up to?
Possibly.
Yeah,
go, keep going.
Possibly been buying more kits.
Of course, yeah.
Well, since I think I mentioned last podcast, I purchased the Royal Class Edward P51D.
Mm-hmm.
I went Harvey's with one of our listeners, and got it home and opened the box, looked at the instructions, and looked at all the different paint schemes, and said, "There's not enough plastic for the paint schemes." So I purchased another Royal Class.
Oh, jeez.
So now I have one box of Royal Class with 3 kits in it. Plus I've got their Chattanooga Choo Choo P51 D5 with a filleted tail.
Yeah.
That was the on-release special boxing, right?
Yep. And then I purchased as well the standard D5 without the filleted tail. kit, which has got some really nice schemes in it too.
Mm-hmm.
So that now gives me 3, 4, 5 Mustangs. Plus, they'll be releasing the standard D very shortly, so I'll probably grab 1 or 2 of those as well. But they're a beautiful kit. They're so nice. I just couldn't help myself.
You should try building one first.
Well, that's the thing. I had a look at my modelling cabinet, and I've gone, there's 2 major aircraft, iconic aircraft that I don't have built and displayed. And one is a Mustang and the other one is a Spitfire. So one of those 2 is my next project.
See, I often want to build, obscure kits because, obscure subjects, I should say, because I don't know what that looks like in scale.
Yes.
But everyone's seen a Spitfire and everyone's seen a Mustang kit, right?
But you've got to have one. You've got to have at least one in your collection.
You don't need to.
I don't.
I do.
I haven't got a Spitfire. I haven't got an ME-109. Haven't got a Sherman.
Wow.
Julian's sitting there. He's looking dagger eyes at me.
So actually, you know what? I wouldn't actually say a Sherman is a very mainstream kit.
You don't think?
No.
More Panzer.
Really?
Panzer 4 would be Panzer Tiger. If you go on to tanks,
100% Tiger.
Oh, I've got a Tiger.
Yeah. Everyone's got Tiger tanks.
Yeah, okay. There you go.
You look at the ones that there's the most kits of, right? There aren't that many Sherman kits, actually. It's only recently that we've gotten quite a lot of them. But in the past, it's always been Tigers, right? Everyone's got a Tiger in their lineup.
Yeah.
Even Airfix.
Yeah. It's what you think. If you think tank, first thing the average person thinks of when you mention tank is Tiger tank, even if they're not a military enthusiast.
Yeah.
Everyone's heard of the Tiger tank.
And they're the worst tanks to cut your teeth on, right? Because they've got 50 wheels. It's a box.
I've built a couple of Tigers and I enjoyed building them. I thought they were really good tanks to build.
I'll tell you what, nothing drains your enthusiasm more than seeing 50 wheels laid out before you and knowing you have to paint the tyres on every single one of them.
Well, it could be worse. You could be doing something like a Churchill. Where you got a lot
they don't
more
have tyres on them though. So at least
you
you
got
can
a lot more wheels.
Yeah, but you just glue them on, you spray them all green along with the rest of it.
Yeah, true.
Or brown, whichever the colour is.
Yeah, but painting the wheels is easy. Just need a circle gauge.
Yeah, but the circle gauge usually doesn't fit the exact diameter of those wheels, right?
Yeah. Plus, you can also purchase the specially made masks for wheels, which is like a template. You just put over the top.
Actually, painting the centers is not the issue. It's painting the outside of the tire part first.
Yeah.
The rubber.
Because you got to rotate every single one of them on a stick or something.
That's not that hard.
Yeah, do it 50 times, you get sick of it. Real easy.
Mate, you got to build some ships.
Yeah.
No, I mean it's repetitive stuff.
Repetitive, repetitive, like making 10 tiny little 20 mil olicons. That's repetitive.
Whatever.
What is repetitive is doing individual links.
Oh, and tracks.
Yeah, yes. I love it. I reckon it's great fun doing it.
Yeah, that sort of stuff. You just turn your brain off and just.
I don't mind tracks. Tracks don't worry me. It's the wheels.
It's wheels annoy you.
Yeah. Because it's like you can't even. When you've actually painted the outside that tire, where do you put it down? You got to have it like on a stick and put it in like a piece of like a styrofoam or something, right?
What's wrong with that?
Yeah, I can't stand this.
That don't bother me.
It's just a pain in the ass.
That don't bother me.
Fine.
So what have you been working on, Jules?
I've been working on my Marcel Block MB152, the little Frenchy plane.
Oh, yep.
Yeah. So I finished most of the paint last night. The only thing I got left to do is I think I might spray the rudder white because there's like a blue, white, red decal that goes on the rudder.
So do you wear a beret and eat baguettes while you're
No,
doing it?
I don't have a back. I don't. I'm not a big fan of baguettes to begin with, and
you prefer a good croissant.
You know what they say?
I'm not a hat person either.
It's so cliche with the French and their baguettes, but I tell you what, you go and have a holiday in Paris, and the amount of people walking down the street with a baguette is, you think as if almost it's been scripted, but it's true. It really is.
Love the baguettes.
Well, so do I. I think somewhere there's some obscure French law that requires a certain amount of bakeries within a certain radius that sort of hails back to their the revolution that they had. So it's quite amusing, actually.
If you don't make the baguette, you get the guillotine. Cool. And Dave, what's Dave been working on?
Well, I finished that Blitzer bomber. So
the Orc bomber.
Yeah, that's gone. The Orc bomber's gone. I'm now working on the Dingo armoured car for my
the
dad.
Daimler Dingo.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful kit, but mini art, over-engineer certain bits of it, and it's just driving me
like what
nuts.
you showed us before, like the hinges. You got to actually glue the hinges.
You got to glue the hinges onto the outside of the kit, and it could have quite easily just been done in the moulded.
Yeah.
So it's completely ridiculous that you have to put them on.
Well, you got to clarify that it's half the hinge. It's not the entire hinge.
Yeah.
It's only the part of the hinge that sticks to the hull.
Yeah. And not only that.
And they're two separate pieces for each individual hinge.
Yes. And then you've got to get in there with a file because they're too thick for the door to actually sit onto the hinge. It won't marry up. And I've lost one because it went ding. And I've been looking in the carpet monster, and I'm just about over it. I really am. And
you barely started.
Well, the only good thing is that, I can perhaps say, I won't have the hinge on this particular one because I built for Dad. He's 92. His hearing, his eyesight's not 100%, and his memory isn't that good that he's going to remember that there's a particular hinge missing off it. Yes. So I'm just building it for him. So you know what? It'll just be what it is. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's amazing how fast kids go when you don't give a crap.
That's true. When you're just building for yourself, yeah, you're right. And when I finish this, I'm looking at a couple of shelf queens that I'm going to have a crack at next. Got a couple of ships sitting up there that are unfinished, and I'll bring them off the.
Get back to the Gambia Bay, mate.
No. I've got a Perry class 1/350 scale hydrofoil the Americans had for a patrol boat. I want to finish that off.
Hydrofoils are fun.
And I've got a Russian tarantula missile boat that I want to finish off as well. Cool. So I'll drag them down from the Shelf of Doom and polish them off, I think. I've got the creative juices flowing at the moment, so I'm
good to hear.
While the iron's hot, I'm going to strike.
That's it.
Yeah, my motivation is kind of like a big, heavy ball or something, and I need a lot of push to get it rolling. But once it's rolling, it's all good.
Yeah,
it's just sort of getting it rolling.
I'm in the same boat. Yeah, at the moment. Yeah, I've got to. Since I've had my work change, my modelling's really dropped down. Because I'm doing such long hours. I get home from work, I'm just that tired. I just can't do anything. So I'm having to leave it up to the weekends.
Weekends, yeah.
And there's other things you got to do over the weekend too. So
yeah.
Unfortunately, that's really knocked into my modelling time.
I've decided to. I mean, like, not that I'd actually started my Fiume, my Italian ship.
Fiume.
Whatever. I'm not gonna do the attempt at the proper accent. I'm not even gonna try. In any case,
Fiume.
Yeah, you got to use hand gestures too.
See, the Fiume. She's a beautiful ship.
She's made of cardboard, but she's a beautiful ship.
You can stop now. Yeah, so I just wanted to sort of clean up some of the sort of daggy bits and all that sort of thing that came with the kit as it in the box. So I've sort of worked on it to the point where it's at the starting line.
Yes.
Is how I sort of think of it. And then I put it back in the box and it's going on the shelf again. Because I'm just going to wait until I've got some proper aftermarket. Don't get me wrong, the kit's nice out of the box, but it can still be improved upon,
definitely. And this is one of the rare times that Trumpet has actually bought out photo etch to cover all the railings.
Yeah.
On the whole ship.
I don't think the railings are that accurate compared to the real thing.
No,
so.
they're very... That's the thing with Trumpet or photo etch. It's very basic photo etch.
Yeah, it's like, here's some generic railing. Right? Whereas... What I need is sort of the proper railings, which are like these huge, like above your head rails.
Yeah,
they go really high up, and they've got like a supporting bracket from behind them.
Something you can trip over in a hurry.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's some beautiful photos. I've sent you a few of them because obviously you're building the kit too.
Yeah, all the photos you sent me were
so clear,
like they were taken yesterday, except that they're black and white.
Yeah, it's not like Japanese ships where it's like, okay, here's like a blurry photo that is akin to like the Bigfoot photos, you know.
Well, funny you should say that. I watched this. I mentioned it to Dave yesterday, and I sent him the link. I watched this YouTube article yesterday when I got home from work, and it was on the I-400, and it was done by someone called Mustard. So if you're looking for on YouTube, go to the one that's I think it's called Aircraft Carrier Submarines. But it's done by a character called Mustard, and it has got video footage of the I-400 that I've never seen before, and some of it is crystal clear. They've got colour footage of the actual I-400 surrendering to the Americans, which is amazing to see because you've got all the Japanese sailors on board with their brand uniforms and so forth. And it was probably one of the best little mini docos I've seen on that particular submarine.
Well, that's the thing, right? I mean, it was surrendered, so you've got Allied footage.
Yes.
Photos. But left to the Japanese,
there would have been nothing. They would have been destroyed.
Yeah, whereas there's actual colour photos of the Zara and all the other sister ships to the Fumi. So, not that it's the exact same ship, but it's the sister ship, so they're pretty close.
And as I mentioned to you earlier, that the Fumi and most of her sister ships were sunk in the one battle within about 20 minutes of each other.
Well, at least they'll all see each other in the afterlife.
They were pretty well ambushed by the British. The British had radar. They didn't. They had no idea the British were there. The British knew they were coming, and they just waited, and then they got them in a line and just sunk them like ducks in a line.
Yep. Oh well, it's a nice fitting end.
Yeah.
I suppose.
Yeah, it is indeed. Hey, listen, we've got a ton of listener mail.
Yeah, let's hook in.
Because we've been haven't been on for 2 weeks, so how about we hook into it,
I reckon it's a great idea.
So the first one we got is a question about weathering, and it comes from Jamie. And Jamie writes, "Hello, I live in the UK. I am 21-year-old modeller and have been modelling since I was about 10. I am not as experienced as some of you and have a question for you regarding weathering. So the question is, what process do you go through when weathering aeroplane, tanks or ships? And could you spare some advice for me as I have just started weathering my models? I've been listening for a couple of months and really appreciate your advice on your podcast, which enable me to improve my modelling skills. I'm currently working on a 1/48 scale Revell JU88-4, which he thinks is an ICM Reeboks.
It is, yes.
The kit has been going together really well, and I'm just getting onto the decals, so not long now. Many thanks from Jamie."
Weathering.
I've got something I want to add sort of. This is a recent thought of mine, but as someone who doesn't really weather his planes that much, or his tanks, I keep thinking about the upcoming ship builds that I want to do, and for some reason I have a great more desire to weather my future ship builds than I do any of my aircraft or tank builds.
Really?
I don't know why. But it's I think about it and it's like, oh, that's a motivation thing, right? Like I'm motivated to weather my ships in the future, but I'm not motivated to weather my aircraft or tanks.
Yeah. Now with Jamie, he's doing the JU88A4. Now that served in many theatres. So we're talking, Europe, Russia, Mediterranean, Africa. So depending what scheme, what weathering is going to apply.
Yep.
And also what time of the year. Is it going to be running on muddy airfields? Is it going to be running on dusty, dry airfields? Is the paint job going to be sun bleached?
Yeah, sun bleached. Dusty.
Dusty. So basically the main things that I worry about with weathering with aircraft is you got to get a bit of dirt on the tyres and mainly exhaust stains and the odd paint chip here and there, depending how old or how roughly used the airframe is. That'd be your basics.
Yeah.
To start off with.
Yep.
From then on, then you can start doing your colour modulations and your filters and so forth. But to begin with, just start at basic. Just put a bit of exhaust staining on with your airbrush. Never ever choose flat black because it just looks horrible. Or always use a black but add a bit of brown to it. That makes a better exhaust stain. You can even just use Tamiya smoke.
Yeah.
So it's partly translucent.
It's a bit glossy though, so you make sure.
You have to flat clear over the top, of course. And with the tyres, just get some AK airfield dust, and just put that on the inside of the tread of the tyres, and maybe the odd bit of scratching around where the crew gets inside the aircraft. I think it's through the bottom of the JUA.
Yeah, there's like a little sort of fold down ladder.
Yeah, so a bit of scratching around that, bit of scratching around where the fuel ports are, access panels, and that's it.
And of course, just Google YouTube and just type in weathering
there
aircraft.
There are so many YouTube articles out there, and they are so, and even today, like I not today, but recently, I learn new things.
And even our good friend from the Scale Model Critiques group, name escapes me.
Which one? Will Pattinson?
Will, yeah. Will does a lot of YouTubes on various things, and he's doing some weathering at the moment on his Spitfire that he's building.
Yes.
So, and in fact, he's made up his own little formula of washers and stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And the thing with aircraft too is and all weathering is, most weathering is caused by where people are touching, walking, and scuffing up the surface. So for a tank, for example, you got to look for where people are wandering around the top of a tank, scuffing the paint.
Yeah, yep.
Same as an aircraft.
Treading their muddy boots.
Like your tie downs where you can tie your storage on the back of a tank, that's going to wear off with the ropes. In a matter of weeks, the paint will wear off. So you got to think of areas like that where the paint's going to wear, where you're going to get chips, where you're going to get scratches. And the best way to do it is photographic reference.
Yep.
Photographic reference, bang, shows you straight away. Oh, that's the product. That's where they're walking on it. That's where it's been heavily used. That's where the weathering is.
Also, I find that when it comes to positioning and stuff, people will sometimes put it in a place that doesn't seem very logical, right? And if you can show a photo of that exact kind of weathering, then it's like, oh, well, there you go.
Yeah.
There's a photo of it,
There's
right?
proof.
But otherwise, it can look
odd,
Like it's not where you would typically find wear.
Yeah.
And it looks jarring. It looks wrong, right? So if you've got photographic evidence to back that up, that's perfect. But at the same time, do you want something that is an exception to sort of these sort of things, or do you want? It's a bit of a weird one,
And with aircraft, the thing that I don't like personally myself seeing is when people are doing paint chips on aircraft and all they do is just use silver paint with a brush.
Yep.
And just put spots haphazardly around the aircraft. And sometimes you even see silver paint chips on fabric ailerons.
Yeah.
And it's like, and it just does my head in when I see that. It's like, it's fabric, it's not metal.
Yeah.
Or wood planes.
Or wooden planes, So you've got to think of what materials the machine's made of too before you start applying the weathering. And paint chips are easy. You just use a small paintbrush, or if you've got larger areas, just a bit of a sponge. And just put your paint on the sponge, dab it onto another bit of paper, get most of it off.
In a lot of cases, I reckon the sponge things look really good for like grab handles. You can do them on that because there's not enough surface area for it to look like a sponge has touched it.
Yes.
But when there is, like, people will just go ham with the sponge thing, right? They'll start off with too big a piece of sponge.
Oh yeah, and make and you can actually see the shape of the sponge.
Yeah.
In where the weathering is, and all you can see is the same shape but on different angles.
Yeah.
But when you're using
turned around and use the same area on the whole product.
But when you're using the sponge, you should apply the same principles as if you were dry brushing. So you have the same amount of paint loaded on the sponge as you would a brush.
And always
to do the dry
pull
brush.
the sponge back so you've got like a curved surface you're working with.
Yeah.
If you're working with a flat surface, you run the risk of getting those weird blobby shapes. Whereas if you're using the curved surface, like you pull the sponge back on itself and just use the curved surface, you can actually roll it as you're putting it, and then you can get all different shapes.
Yeah.
There you go, James. Hope that helps.
Hopefully that helps.
Yeah.
Next one we have is Neil Kegley writes, and he says, "Hello, Dave, Ian, and Julian. Another greeting from the state of Virginia in the US.
Oh, geez, we're getting a bit of a fan base.
What's
there.
it with Virginians?
They love us.
There must be a huge modelling group in Virginia.
Yeah, well, think about it. There's more modelers in Melbourne than there is in other cities, right?
Yeah, but there's 52 states in the US, and so far Virginia is we're getting so many emails from Virginia.
Well, I must be spreading by word of mouth.
I don't know about that. I reckon they're just, I don't know. Must be something in the water over there.
Yep.
Anyway, Neil writes on. I'm on the other side of Virginia from Sean in the southwest area of the state. Love the podcast and been getting back into the hobby after 20-ish years hiatus.
That's a break.
It is. Your podcast has been pivotal in getting me back to the bench and building again.
Oh, excellent.
I was particularly interested in your takes on brick and mortar versus internet hobby shop discussions and the follow-up in episode 82. Like Sean, I'll be turning 56 as well this year, so my take tends to be more closely related to Dave and Ian than perhaps Julian. After I graduated from college, I took a part-time job at a hobby shop in the same town as my university, thinking it would be a placeholder job while I looked for my first real job after graduation. About 6 years later...
6 years later, yeah.
After working full-time for a little over 5 years, I moved on, sadly. It was to date by far my most favourite job, and not just because of the employee discounts on the models and the war games. The interaction with the customers, being able to discuss and share techniques and learn new ones was a real highlight of the work. The internet today is by far the most accessible and well-stocked hobby shop you can find. Very good point. Mm-hmm. There are a whole host of businesses, as have been catalogued in the last 2 episodes, that can provide almost anything you'd ever want. That certainly makes it hard on a brick and mortar hobby shop in terms of business costs, operating costs, etc.
Oh, definitely.
But it will never, in my opinion, replace the feeling that you get when you walk into a local hobby shop and walk the aisles, looking at stacks of kits, racks of paints, and all the other things hanging on pegboards or displayed in cases.
Yes.
And while I truly miss that feeling, I'm very thankful for the internet shops because in this part of Virginia where he lives, it's a hobby shop desert. The shop he worked in just after college closed in the late 90s, and the closest hobby store he has is more than an hour or so away.
Wow.
The really good shops are much further than that. I truly envy the density of shops that we enjoy, us here in Victoria, even though you most likely won't find all the aftermarket parts. But what you do get is that feeling of seeing kits and talking with people who love the hobby as we do, and the camaraderie of sharing that visit with friends. Keep up the great work between you and the guys and the folks at Plastic Model Mojo next door in Kentucky. I'm set for podcasts. Regards, Neil Kegley.
Thanks,
He's
Neil.
spot on there, isn't he?
Yeah,
Really?
he's very spot on.
Now, I have one from... I'll just go try and dig it out.
He's got to find it
No,
now.
I'll leave that one, so I'll go on to this one instead. Peter Andreas writes, "Hi guys, long-time listener, and I really enjoy your show. In my opinion, the best... he says in his opinion, that's the best show. Oh, geez, thanks.
Thanks, mate.
Yeah, thanks, Pete.
Yeah.
I need your help, he says. My photo etch use has been quite limited, using it sparingly in cockpits. I'm currently working on Hasegawa's 1/48 scale Voyager spacecraft, and I've brought the aftermarket photo etch set from Edward as I thought it would give me a much better look, and I'm sure it will when I finish it. That is if it doesn't end up smashed against the wall. The photo etch is driving me nuts. I'm surprised that I'm getting freakishly small parts bent properly, but getting them onto the model is another thing. I'm using CA glue, and I even have the special applicator from Flexifile. However, I can't help but heaping blobs of CA glue on the point of contact and making a mess. I try to pick up the smallest amount of glue that I can, and to no avail. I've even tried using toothpicks, which didn't do much better. If anyone can help, I'm sure it's you guys.
Well,
keep up the great work and stay well. Best regards, Peter Andrus.
Okay, here's something you can try, Peter, is a Q-tip. put a Q-tip next to the blob. Don't actually just touch the Q-tip to your blob of glue, and that most of that glue will wick back onto the Q-tip.
Aren't you going to run the risk of gluing your Q-tip to something?
Well, if you're going to hold it there for a long time, yes. But you're not going to hold it there for a long time.
As soon as you touch it or something.
Just touch it. Just as soon as it wicks off, take the Q-tip away. That's what I do, and it works fine for me. It doesn't even leave fuzz behind. It just sucks that extra glue away.
That's an interesting one.
It works for me.
But you've got to use the really... there's different types of CA glue.
It'd be useless with gel glue.
Yeah.
It's got to be the really watery, runny CA glue.
Yeah.
That works beautiful. It's just because it's so watery and runny, as soon as it touches...
Do you have a brand that you use?
The glue?
Yeah.
Yeah, Loctite 406.
Okay. That's good to bear in mind.
That's an industrial grade super glue.
Because you could probably come across 5 different brands of super glue.
Oh, there's so many. Yeah.
And you'd never get one that works in that manner.
And Zapagap has about 3 different types of CA glue, or even 4,
Correct,
I believe.
yeah.
One's a really thick one. One's a medium viscosity, and the other one's a really high flow.
Because I usually find,
viscosity.
the high flow ones usually dry super fast.
Yes.
Whereas the more gel gives you a bit of time to work with. But when you nowadays, when I'm attaching really tiny bits, I just use is it Gorilla or was it that?
That white glue.
Yeah, was it Gorilla or
Gator Grip.
Gator Grip. Yeah.
Gator Grip.
Yeah. And Gator Grip works great. Just a tiny micro dab with the end of a toothpick onto your part, put it in place. Once it's in place, then you can put your super glue on.
Yeah. I definitely recommend Gator Grip also. I use that for doing the railings of my ships.
Just
Photo
to
etch
hold
railing.
and you just use it to hold the photo etch in place.
Yeah.
Before you properly glue it down with the.
And sometimes I can even leave just the Gator Grip and not put anything else on.
If the part's small enough, yeah.
It'll hold beautifully and won't require me to go back, and it'll dry and stick there on the part.
Yeah.
So try those 2 things and see how you go, and please get back to us.
Yeah, definitely.
Thanks for your email. Next we have John McAvoy, and John writes, "Good afternoon, David, and greetings from Seattle, Washington. I'm really enjoying your weekly podcasts, and, well, actually, no, we're back to fortnightly now.
Unfortunately, sorry, mate.
And glad that your lockdown has ended. A few podcasts ago, you were discussing the pros and cons of using CA glue as a filler on styrene models.
Yes.
I'm curious if you've ever tried Paul Budzik's method of mixing
dental acrylic.
It's called dense ply free flow dental acrylic powder with the slow zap CA. I was able to order online and have been using it with relatively positive results. It appears that the higher the ratio of powder to glue, the easier it is to sand. With the Pacer slow zap, you have at least 1 to 2 minutes working time. By the way, have you guys hung out with that YouTube sensation Harry Houdini? ? Thank you and stay safe, from John McAvoy in Seattle.
I haven't used dental acrylic. I'd like to. I wouldn't even know where to get it from to try it out.
Search it online, you'd be able to find it.
Be something worth trying though. It's from what? Yeah, because Paul Budzik recommends it. That guy knows a little bit about modelling, a lot more than I do. And if he recommends it, he's got to have some merit.
He's got a very specific brand of modelling though.
Oh yeah.
He's very much on the off-road.
Yes.
Kind of modelling.
Yeah, I've been watching his build. I think it was his build on the A20.
Yeah, he's really not afraid to sort of discard 70% of the kit.
Yeah, and rebuild it. Yeah.
In wood. Yeah. As for Harry Houdini, I know who Harry Houdini is. He's a modeler from up in Queensland. He's a YouTuber, and I mean, I think he does a lot of. I think he prefers a lot of ship kits and armor kits and things like that. He's got some good videos on how to do tracks.
Yep.
That'd be worth checking out.
It is.
But yeah, well, actually, Dave might like him a lot. He has got a banjo.
All right. Dave's new best friend.
Oh God. Okay. Let's move on to the next one from Andy Roche, which who's spoken to us before. Hi Dave, just listened to the latest episode of On the Bench and glad you're out of lockdown. I have a book suggestion for you. It's called D-Day Through German Eyes. With that anniversary coming up soon, I thought it might be fitting. I've attached a page of the book where a Luftwaffe pilot was being interviewed 10 years after the invasion, and he describes the new Spitfire as a freak of a plane. It was incredibly fast. It's a very interesting view from the German side. Take care, guys. And the book is actually called, it's called D-Day Through German Eyes by Holger Eckhertz, spelled Eckhertz. It's a paperback edition.
Isn't that like Eckhart?
Eckhertz. Yeah, so Holger Eckhertz. D-Day Through German Eyes.
That happened to me once.
What?
Walked into a door frame and, geez, my head hurt.
Oh, my God.
Boom, boom.
You're not even a dad and you're telling dad jokes.
Yeah.
Terrible, isn't it?
Wait
till you hit 50, Julian.
Okay.
I mean, Dave's got grandchildren, so technically you should have like next level dad jokes, right?
I should have, but I don't. All right, next
I'll
one.
look into that book. Sounds interesting.
Next one. Hi all. I'm from Northcote in Melbourne, and I really like the podcast.
Thank you.
I have the Edward Dudosh Nix kit, which has 3 World War I aircraft that were flown by Ernest Udet. Included are rib-stripe decals, which per the back page instructions are placed on the ribs of the wings.
Yes.
But I'm confused what to do with them. At what stage do you place them after all the other decals, presumably, or would you not see them? And what is their purpose? Would appreciate the team's advice as to what to do with these. Best you make the advice clear, as I am only a basic modeler.
Okay.
Regards.
All right. Now, the basic, I presume they'd be for the lozenge scheme, which most of them are. But so basically what you do is you put your lozenge decal on first, and these go over the top. And what they were a bit of extra strength to put over the fabric because it sat over the rib, so there's a lot more tension on the fabric to stop it from tearing.
And can you explain maybe what lozenge is for our beginning model?
Lozenge was mainly that 3 or 4 coloured hexagonal pattern that the Germans had on their World War I aircraft.
Mm-hmm.
It's usually on the undersurfaces. You had them like blues, greens, purples, browns, yellows, nearly every colour of the rainbow, I think.
So you put your main decal down first, and then you put these striped ones down on top of that.
On top of that, yes.
After the first one's dried.
Because that actually was a separate piece of fabric.
Yes, that's right.
Okay. So is it on planes that didn't have lozenge as well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
You'd probably find most World War I aircraft had them.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, you can always go to
The World War I aircraft
World
forum.
War I aircraft forum called
Yes.
forum.ww1aircraft.com.
Yep.
Also, you might find it might be easier to paint those.
Well, it depends if it's lozenge.
Yeah.
If it's lozenge. But then again, the decal would be better because the decal is actually going to give you that little bit of a height difference.
Yeah.
And in 1/48 scale, it's going to actually look quite good.
Okay.
Just to have that slight bit of a hard edge for where the one decal sits on top of the other decal, so you actually get to physically see the ridge line. Well, that's my 2 cents worth.
There you go. Next up, we have from Brazil. We have an email. Marcos Lucina writes in, "Hi guys, I've been listening to your podcast for a few weeks now and really enjoy the funny, sincere and informative nature of your work. I learned about it on Fine Scale Models newsletter and have to say I'm a loyal fan and listener." And thank you to Fine Scale. Of course, they're a fantastic
sponsor, yes.
Correct. And magazine as well.
They are a great magazine.
Get yourself over there. Get
First magazine I ever really started to buy as a regular thing.
And still read it even now.
Yeah.
He continues on, regarding your recent discussion about what makes a great kit, I see the instructions and any additional documentation as the most valuable addition any manufacturer can make to improve the final build of a model. Knowing how the original subject looked like in as much detail as possible is the best thing you can do to achieve a better model.
Oh, yeah.
Having source books, photographs, etc. on the subject is more valuable than tons of accessories and multiple decal options. That's not a bad point, actually. You can always add something from scrap plastic, rod and wire if you know what you are willing to represent. That said, I think Tamiya's 1/12 scale, big scale car series are great examples of good informative instructions and great quality plastics and additional parts. I think they could return to the concept and make new products using their 1970s philosophy. Can't say I'm familiar with the 1/12 scale.
Yeah, I years ago when I was a very, very young guy had a Ferrari. I had to really...
You got a frog in
It
your
was
throat.
difficult to say that word.
Oh, he's a comedian in the studio.
Formula One car, and that was the Tamiya one, and I think it was Jules Verne's Formula One car, number white 12 or whatever it was. But I remember the instructions. It was and the added information was just, it was like a mini novel. Mm-hmm. It was really, they had everything you could think of for the whole car.
Well, I can tell you the 32nd scale Corsair has a whole bunch of reference photos that come with it. I think that's actually in a little mini booklet or something like that, if I remember correctly. But in any case, I don't think they have any problem adding that sort of stuff to their kits that are more detailed, you know? Because they're like, oh, here's some of the real thing, and look how close we got.
Well,
but in their 48 scale and smaller scales, they don't bother putting that in because A, they're not in that pay grade, right? You know, they're not.
But then again, to me, it
quality.
does with some of their new releases. They've got that extra little booklet in there, usually like an A4 page that's folded double in about 4 different languages. But at least you get at least one page. It's got you like a history, a few photos, and maybe a couple of line drawings. But
I think the primary reason why a lot of companies don't do it is because they don't want to call attention to the fact that they have simplified things.
Omitted details.
I mean, it's a common story that the side profiles that they put on the side of boxes will actually have changes made to them from the real one to reflect what they've made in plastic.
Correct, yes.
So that when you look at that and when you look at the plastic of the kit, you're like, oh, it's fine.
Yeah.
But then you don't realise that that's not supposed to be like that.
Exactly, yep.
Marcos finishes up. I'm currently building a 1980s 1/72nd scale Tupolev SB-2 from Novo, an old frog tool manufactured back in the USSR. How many Soviet kits do you currently own, lol? It's been great fun with files and putty. Anyway, stay well, guys. Best regards, Marcos from Brazil.
Wow. He's a game man. Trying one of those old kits. Wow.
Closest I can get is like a couple of 48 scale ICM kits. Like a Yak 1B or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is.
I've got a couple of Russian kits, but not too many. Mostly aircraft.
Yeah. Ian McCauley writes in, good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, Ian.
Just finished listening to the latest podcast, and Julian mentioned that he didn't like models photographed against a blue background. I always thought the blue background was meant to be atmospheric and look like blue sky the background as in the attached picture. Personally, I've always liked the look. I'm pretty old school in what I like and what I don't like about models. Regards, Ian.
See? Great minds think alike.
Look, you stop.
Great minds think alike.
Look, what I would say to you is that the sky is in the sky and it doesn't actually come down underneath the plane.
But it could be flying.
What do you mean it could be flying? It's sitting on the ground. You've put your model on top of it. If you want your model flying, you mount it on a stick. Right?
But then you got a big stick.
Yeah, I know. I'm not a fan of the big stick. But like people putting like the clear acrylic rod. It's not like if you go in for that sort of thing, and I know some modelers who do, like my friend Chris Becker in Queensland, he loves to do the in-flight models. It's his thing, and he lets everyone know about it all the bloody time, right? But it's look if you're gonna go the blue thing, right?
The blue background,
Ushi sells some really nice backdrops.
Yes.
For photographing, you know, and then the idea is that it's blue at the top, and I think it's like I don't know, white or brown at the bottom, and it's like a slow gradient kind of thing, so that you can put it on down there. You know, it's like the curved backdrop, so that it starts off vertical at the back, and then it comes down horizontal at the bottom. You put your model on it, and it makes for a really good backdrop. If you're going to go that route, at least do something like that, and not just a blue all over piece of paper, you know?
But I've always done blue.
You stop that right now, all right? I am all of your modeling photos that I've seen with the blue backdrop, right? They're all sort of slightly tinted blue because it's messed with the white balance on the camera.
But it looks good.
No. You stop it right now. And get some more lights, all right?
Get some more. All right, I'll do that.
Mike Slay, our wandering correspondent from Europe, writes in.
Hello, Mike.
Firstly, I wanted to mention a few websites from the UK and Europe side of the world to follow up on your episode 83. The first one is www.emodels.co.uk. So it's www.emodels.uk. Probably my favourite, a big selection of kits and fast delivery. Next one is elementgames, one word, .co.uk, which is a favourite for Warhammer, with a 20% discount on Games Workshop stock with fast and free delivery on big orders. They also do model kits as well. Next one is www.miggemes.com/en, a great resource for EU and UK with free shipping on orders over €95, plus a bunch of kits I don't see often in the UK, on top of a whole heap of ammo stuff by the MiG range.
Oh, cool.
Next one is www.wonderlandmodels.com.
I've heard of them.
Another great all-rounder, which also happens to be bricks and mortar store in Edinburgh, Scotland.
Oh, that was
Planning
terrible.
a trip over. This is over. Coming back to the previous discussion about bases in episode 81, I saw a great club display at Telford last year where they had built a scale airfield depicting an air show.
Oh, I remember seeing photos of that, yeah.
All of the kits were laid out with little fences around them on taxiways with little figures walking around as they would be in real life. It was really a great way to display so many aircraft of different generations, yet still keeping it all tied together. And he goes on, bench update. Just finished an Airfix photo reconnaissance Mark 19 Spitfire in 1/48 scale, and he's now harbouring plans to build the whole Battle of Britain Memorial flight lineup, which is another 5 Spitfires in various marks.
Nice.
2 Hurricanes, a Dakota, and of course a Lancaster. And maybe, of course, a 1/48 scale Chipmunk trainer if I can find them. Finally, you answered the question I was going to drop about ships in your latest episode, so I thank you for that. Ship and aftermarket processes will come to great use as I started 1/700 scale trumpeter 1941 HMS Hood and Flyhook aftermarket set built for a Falklands War veteran whose distant family member went down with a ship during the Bismarck campaign.
Wow.
If I ping a couple of Spitfire build photos, would you be willing to put them up on Facebook, which I've received and I haven't put up yet, Mike, but I will, and it's great to hear from you.
Yes.
Now, that reminds me, we had a listener who wrote in about the difference between the Titanic
And the Britannic.
And it was about the deck covering.
Yes.
We've done a bit of research.
Well, actually, one of our listeners done some research, Dave.
Well, I wasn't going to give all the kudos to him, but anyway. Well, technically, we've done the research.
Yeah.
Anyway, it turns out that they were both exactly the same. There was no closed-in deck.
But there was differences in... There was some differences.
Yes, but the particular question, you can get a Titanic and quite successfully build it as the Britannic without sort of any major, without any major dramas.
Major, you mean like major reworking of the hull?
Absolutely.
And the decking, yep.
All right, so next one. Masking tip from Steve Bolton. So Steve writes in, your recent episode had you guys discussing odd methods for masking and triggered by a question if masking over a decal before spraying. You had too sticky and not enough sticky suggestions which either pull up the decals or cause the masks to blow away when spraying.
Yes.
Model railroads come to the rescue yet again. Aleene's Tack It is a glue that's similar to Post-it note glue but stronger. It gets mostly used for model railroad scenery, so it can be moved around and they stay stuck well enough. It may be strong enough to hold paper masks in position for spraying without it pulling up decals. A small well-placed dab could hold doors closed on models when in transit so you can open and reposition at will. It could hold a drive or a pilot in place if you wish to switch them around in your displays. Lots of great uses for models of all sorts. It dries clear and doesn't need much for it to work. Of course, another tip, is Tarzan's Grip Mega Bond Glue. Behaves like expander foam as it sets. It thickens and expands while being a nice strong glue. I've been continuing a 1/32 scale stealth fighter, which I started 25 years ago. The wings are large and flat as well as flimsy, so instead of mucking around with foam pieces to maybe try to add bracing when gluing the wings halves together, I put a couple of dabs of this glue inside, which takes hours to set, but it actually works. I then use my modelling cement of choice to bond the halves in the proper position and then peg and clamp it. Because the wing interior is large, the Tarzan's Grip expands up, forming a blobby column inside to add rigidity. Plus, it can expand sideways as needed, so it is not distorting the wing surface. You don't want to use it in an enclosed chamber space in a model.
Because I think it'd probably have a bit of a heat reaction.
Yeah, if it overflows where you want it, it's just as easy to cut it with a blade once it's set. So you might find some use in scratch moulding. It's also great for adding a bunch of sinkers as ballast inside the model, as it expands in and around the weights to form a single mass and is stuck in place so it won't shift or rattle around in transit. It will expand considerably so test it on a scrap of garbage first to see how it behaves. So back to that Model Railroads one. It's called Aleene's Tackett, spelled Alene, and Tackett is TACK -IT.
Sounds interesting.
It does sound interesting.
That, yeah.
Thanks very much for that, Steve.
Yeah.
Rightio. Next one is Nigel writes in, and he says, Nigel Moser writes in, and he says, is there a website or websites that I could see your models you and the boys have built over the years? The answer to that is no. You have to go to our Facebook page and have a look.
Yeah.
You can see some of our pictures up there that we posted.
Yeah.
I haven't.
I'll tell you what I'll do. I've got a I've got a folder on my own Facebook page. I'll see if I can link that folder to our Facebook page, so people can have a look and see what I've done over the years.
Oh, yeah.
And have a bit of a giggle.
So much blue.
So much blue. Julian, there's a lot of blue, baby. A lot of blue.
Nothing can't be helped. Those photos are done over many years of blue background.
That's it.
Our friend Paul from Queensland, Paul Gloucester, writes in, hey, benches.
Hey, Paul.
Sitting here thinking about how I would normally be getting ready to make the drive down from Queensland to Melbourne for Model Expo.
Yes, which we'll be on next weekend.
Yeah, I know. Speaking of which, before I go in, I see that the IPMS Nationals in the US is going ahead in Texas. So a couple of the things have been cut short. Like they normally have planned trips where they'll go out to things like, I think they were going to go to, where's that Last Stand in Texas? What's the name of that joint?
Oh, yeah, the Alamo.
The Alamo, yeah, the Alamo. So that's been cancelled. But apparently everything's going ahead 100%. So
good. That's great news.
Yeah, it is. Anyway, so Paul continues on. I reckon a lot of us in the modelling community have been able to get a lot more modelling done while in ISO, but I am missing the modelling shows and can't wait for them to get back up and running. A silver lining for me is that I have been able to rejoin the online meetings that my Melbourne Model Club has been having via Zoom.
Yes.
And it's been great to reconnect, as I have not been able to do so since I moved interstate almost 15 years ago. A standout to me has been On the Bench podcast and being able to listen while in my modelling workshop rather than while I'm travelling. I've enjoyed the special guests you have had, such as the scrolling mouse, the squeaky chair, the cinnamon roll, and even that crow that was making regular random appearances. I am sure that everyone in your audience really appreciates the effort that the three of you went to keep on making the show and keep the content coming.
Yes.
He also goes on the right. I've got some proper modelling done in ISO, and they've even participated in some of the mini competitions that have been running. I did a Barracuda 3-week challenge, and I took on a 1/72 scale High Plains wind yield, which I got finished in 19 days. Wow,
that's a record for a High Plains kit.
Yeah. Building it quickly to a standard that I'm happy with was a challenge, and I know that Paul, he's got a very high challenge.
He's got very high standards,
yeah. It also goes on to say, if I could add something to the diorama discussion, I build mainly Australian and Fleet Air Arm, and it's the history of the men, the machines, and the moments they enjoy the most. So trying to capture all that into a base that represents not just the aircraft, but the context in which it operated is key to the way that I build. I hope that my models as a collective will showcase a progression from early days through the good times and the bad, the planes, the places, and the people. There you go. And he's also attached a couple of pictures, which I might also chuck up on the Facebook page.
On the page, yeah.
It's great to hear from you, Paul.
Yeah.
We'll look forward to catching up with you
hopefully
next year.
Yeah, hopefully next year.
Modelling Expo.
Yeah.
That's it from listener emails. And, of course, if you want to write into us, you can do so by writing to onthebench64@gmail.com. We love hearing from you and always welcome and respond to your emails. Indeed, we even read them out.
Yes.
Now, I think we're at that time we look at what's new. Do we have a short break or do you want to keep going?
We'll have a short break.
All right, we'll have a short break and we'll be back with what's new in the modelling world. And the Falcon is written in with a whole list of stuff as well.
Goody.
Okay. Back very shortly. Fine Scale Modeler is the world's most recognised and essential magazine for modelers and is available in all good newsagents and newsstands or wherever you purchase your magazines. Alternatively, go to their website www.finescale.com and subscribe to either a print edition or their digital edition. Go now. Go to www.finescale.com. Okay, and we're back to talk about what's new in the modelling world. And first cab off the rank is we have some news from Tacom. In fact, quite a bit from Tacom. The first one is that they're doing two little tanks, I should say, in large scale as an alternative from Tacom in July. They're doing the Panzer Kampfwagen 1 OSFB. And what's the other one there, Ian?
It's the same, except one's got a figure and one doesn't have a figure.
Yeah, and they're in 1/16 scale.
So it'd be quite large.
It'd be very large.
The thing is, like, all these 1/16th scale tanks that they release are usually really small tanks.
Yeah.
Well,
because you wouldn't want a large tank in that scale. It'd be too
unless you run those radio control people.
Yeah. I mean, like, they're a good opportunity for, like, scratch building interior details and things like that. Because despite their size, they still don't have that much in the kit. You know?
No, that's right, yeah. But they do look nice.
They do look nice and be very interesting. Also from Tacom, there is two new scale mine rollers in one box coming from Tacom in July.
In 1/72nd scale.
Now, they built these originally in 1/35th scale, didn't they not?
Mm-hmm. I think so, yes, they did.
Yeah. And so it's a
Krupp Raumer
and
a VS KFZ 617.
Which both look very science fiction-ish.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that modelers are already quite familiar with these, but as I said, they're now doing in 1/72nd scale. So that'll appeal to the 1/72nd scale builders.
Yeah, that Krupp Raumer just reminds me of the Alien APC.
It doesn't it?
It just reminds you it belongs on the old Aliens 2 movie set.
And in 1/72nd scale, also they're doing the Macava 2D and two small scale chieftains from Tacom as well.
Oh, they're really going the hog with the 1/72nd scale.
They are. They're really hooking in there. So for you guys out there who build 1/72nd scale armour, you're going to be in a lap of luxury at the moment.
Definitely.
Now, this is a really interesting sort of release. So Wave's new release is of the Kusta, which is a single kit. And the Kusta is a Machine Krieger model.
I'm looking at that thing, and all I'm seeing is basically a reworked the old Nitto SD KFZ, I think it was the Crotte, which I've built a model of.
So it
looks basically nearly identical.
So this is in 1/22nd scale. It's injection plastic kit model and expected in shops in August 2020.
Which is the same scale.
Yeah. And the finished kit we're looking at here on screen is absolutely gorgeous. And if you love your Machine Krieger stuff, this is going to be definitely a must-have. And the level of detail in the model is absolutely astounding.
And I remember when I built my original Nitto one, it's a great kit to build.
Is it really?
Oh, it's a great kit to build, yeah. Yeah, because I motorised mine.
You what?
Yeah, motorised it. I put in a little microphone receiver.
Yeah.
And hooked that up to a little motor inside the main body. So whenever someone walked past it or talked, it'll light up and the Gatling gun would start spinning. And in between, and on the very top hole for where the Gatling gun was spinning, there was because I used tubing. Yeah. There was a very bright blue LED. Yeah. So at night time, it actually looks like it's firing.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, it's a crank. Trumpet have got some releases coming up in May, and the first one is in 1/32 scale, is a P40E Warhawk. Ian, you love your Warhawks, don't you?
Yeah, I've got the Hasegawa one.
Yeah, now
I'll stick with that.
This one's got decals from the Flying Tigers.
Yep.
With the beg your pardon, not the Flying Tigers.
Yeah, it is the Flying Tigers.
Yes. Beg your pardon.
Yes,
with the
Flying
shark's
Tigers.
mouth.
Yep. The second one is from Darwin.
Yes.
And looks like they got an Aleutian hawk and a Russian.
Now, the Aleutian ones are really interesting.
Yeah, they've got the tiger.
They've got the great big tiger painted on the side of the
on the nose.
engine nose, which looks amazing. And the last one is decals from a Russian variant or Russian colourings as well.
Yes.
So
yes, only the Russians could make a pretty Warhawk look ugly when they put their own Klimov engine in it. Because those Klimov engines look really weird on a P40.
The kit includes decals for all four, and also some photo etch parts as well.
It looks like, actually, if you scroll back up, Dave, it looks like some of the photo etch you may be able to drop the flaps.
Yeah, possibly as well.
It looks to me it's got the flap hinges.
It does. And the interesting thing is the wheels are rubber tyres.
Yeah, bye-bye.
I don't know.
That'd be the first thing hitting the bin, I think, in my situation.
There's a total of 11 sprues in tyres. The model length is 302 millimetres with the wingspan of 357 millimetres. Next product in 1/35 scale is a Soviet Object 292 experimental tank. The Object 292 was a Soviet experimental tank built in September 1990. The tank was based on the T-80 chassis, using a new turret and armed with the LP-83 152mm smoothbore gun. It was in September 1990, the tank was completed. In 91, it underwent trials, but wasn't actually put into production. And the barrel on this thing is huge.
Not massive, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. So for those of you who love your Russian armour, it's something you're definitely going to have to go out and get. Track links or individual links. Yay! Woohoo!
With those individual hollow guide horns in the middle.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Have fun with that, guys.
There's one piece of photo etch. There's 28 sprues, and the kit consists of over 970
That's
parts.
a lot of parts for a tank.
And they use slide moulded turret and lower hull. 192 individual track links.
Wow.
There you go. In 1/700 scale, we have a PLA Navy Type 054A frigate, which is a Chinese modern frigate. Yeah.
Base was like a copy of an American one.
Oh, it's interesting. If you like your 1/700 scale, the hull is one single piece, so if you want a waterline it, you've got to get the razor saw out and cut it. A little bit of photo etch with it. Total length is 191 millimetres with a beam of 24 millimetres. 4 sprues in total with 100 plus parts. And next off, we have a Flak Panther, I should say.
Ooh, that's an interesting looking panther, isn't it?
Yeah, it's actually it's not a real one. It's a paper panzer, which Trumpeter are getting into. That's interesting. So Trumpeter brings us a kit of the paper panzer Flak Panther tank mounted with an 88mm Flak 41 anti-aircraft gun. The new variant includes over 1,200 parts as well as photo etch parts. Gee, that's a
So
lot
basically,
of
you just got a Panther chassis with a big, massive open box on the top with an 88 shoved in there.
Yeah, wow. Individual links on the track. That's why the parts count is up so high. Wow, that's interesting. ICM, we're looking at some their new O2A Skymaster kit, which is in development in 1/48 scale.
Jeez, if that's a CAD drawing, that's going to look quite nice.
Of course, the Skymaster was the Cessna pusher and puller, which was used as a reconnaissance aircraft by the Americans in the Vietnam War. And you still see them floating around air shows now as a warbird, actually. Yeah. And they're still in civilian use, too, in some instances.
Correct.
So, for those of you who love your Vietnam aircraft, this is definitely going to be a must-have. Yeah. It's the wingspan's 11 centimetres. Overall length is 9 centimetres. That can't,
No, they're talking about the actual aircraft. Is
the actual aircraft, I beg your pardon, yeah.
That's got a fair few sprues, but the interior looks quite nice.
The interior
and the CAD drawings,
very good. So it's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, for those who like their Vietnam, that'd be definitely one to look into.
They do. Julian, you had something new to talk about.
Yeah, so to me, I've put up on their Facebook page a new tool.
Ooh, Julian loves his tools.
I do like tools, and so these are like well, not tweezers. They're more like
grabbers.
Yeah. So it's kind of like it's got. I don't know how would you describe it?
The best way I could describe it, it looks like a pair of tweezers, but they're thicker. They've got a groove in each tongue, and they're hooked at the ends.
Yeah,
they hook together.
Yeah, I mean they're designed to sort of grab onto little cylinders and balls and other sort of
stuff that when you normally pick up with tweezers go flying across the room.
Yeah.
Yeah, as I found
so it's going to be very handy. I'll be definitely looking at getting a pair of these tweezers. Yeah. They look like they're going to do the job.
A&A Models have announced the release of a 1/72nd scale Italian drone, the P1HH Hammerhead, which is based on the P180 Avanti turboprop passenger aircraft. The kit represents a second flying prototype during tests at the Bergi Airport in Trapani, Italy in July 2017.
So when you say drone, it's not like a military drone. It's more like an exercise in driverless aircraft, right? Or pilotless aircraft.
No, it's definitely a drone just based upon the turboprop passenger aircraft.
Yeah, but it's a passenger aircraft, right?
Yeah, but they've removed all the cockpit stuff, so you can't fly it as a normal aircraft. No,
but what we're saying, is it military or is it civilian?
Military.
It is military.
Yeah. It is military.
Yeah, military. Okay. So...
You're finding more and more of that these days.
Oh, absolutely.
Pilotless aircraft is the way of the future.
Becoming a big one. That's all I have, but of course... The Falcon is written in.
But we got to get some music for the Falcon.
We do have to get some music for the Falcon. Okay, hi Dave and gang. New kits as of the 28th of May. Aircraft. Tamiya will be releasing a second version of their 1/48 scale P-38 Lightning. This one is a P-38H, and it is a limited edition white boxing, and there will be only one production run.
Now the H, is that still got the Ellison engines? The inline Ellisons, with the inline scoops, I should say.
Yeah,
or has it got the big mouth?
No, it doesn't have the big mouth.
Right.
It does have different engines, not that you can tell.
Right.
Right.
So basically, they're going to be using the same sprues, basically.
Yeah. So I did my P-38 as a H.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So it's basically like a in the middle kind of thing where they sort of went up to the newer, better engines. Mm-hmm. Well, they hadn't changed around the cooling for it, so these things would overheat. Yeah,
because I know that initially with the P-38s, they had a lot of trouble. They were really not liked by the pilots and the ground crews at the beginning until they sorted their issues out.
Yeah, but they're prettier.
They are a very pretty aircraft, yeah. But the first ones didn't have opposite rotating props.
Counter-rotating
props. So they had a problem that if an engine cut out, well, especially if takeoff and landing, you were just going to flip.
Oh. Do a ground loop.
Oh, yeah.
Whoop.
Yep.
Especially the tricycle undercarriage. Yeah.
Well, a ground loop is when you spin around horizontally on landing. And that happens with...
Oh, yeah. Sorry, Julian. Yeah. I stand corrected.
Yeah.
You mean flipping it on its head.
No. The Falcon continues... Bat Project have shown sprues of their forthcoming, wait for it, 1/72 scale Boeing 307 Stratoliner. Dun, dun, dun,
A
dun.
Stratoliner.
In 1/72 scale. Can you imagine how big that'd be?
Wow.
Oh, that's going to be
That's going to be
awesome.
massive.
Next is Lift Here models, which I have never heard of before.
Yeah. All these new companies coming out.
Lift Here models have released a 1/72 scale resin of a Grumman G164 AgCat. Soon to come from them also is a 1/72 scale kit of the Wirraway-based Commonwealth Aircraft Corporation's CA-28 Ceres crop duster.
Oh, the series.
Yes, and
They're really weird looking things, those are they? It's like the cockpit's like a mile off the ground.
And in bigger ag aircraft news, both literally and figuratively, Infini models will be releasing a 1/32 scale Zilin Let Z-37 Climac. Apparently, they will be doing it in 1/48 scale as well. Models Fit have just released a 1/72 scale kit of the Mirage 4000. ICM are preparing a 48 scale B-26C-50 Invader Korean War for release in June.
Ooh, for the coin, was that coin operations? They called them the coin.
Counterinsurgency.
Yeah.
I think there's coin really came in sort of
Vietnam,
post Korea, more in the Vietnam.
Yep.
They're also showing sprues for a forthcoming 32nd scale Gloucester Sea Gladiator Mark II. That'd be interesting.
That'd be interesting. 32.
What scale?
32.
32.
Ah.
Yeah.
Pretty aeroplane, the Gloucesters, the Gladiators.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a Gladiator in my stash. But
too.
Have you really?
Yeah, 32nd scale.
You got the Rodin one like I do.
Yeah.
You got the Malta, was it, or the standard?
The Malta.
Yeah, I got the one for the Swedish volunteers for the Finnish
you
Air
got the
Force.
one with the skis on it. It looks like shoes.
Yeah, it looks like it's wearing clogs. But it's got lots of skulls on the airframe. Lots of skulls painted on it. That sold it for me.
In other news, Dragon, we're into Armour now, and Dragon have a couple of new releases on the way, both in 1/35 scale. First of all is a SD KFZ 253 with a Panzer 1 turret.
Ooh.
And a Panzer 3 OS FN from Schura Panzer in Ubla. I can't get that.
Give
through.
up.
I'll give up. It's one of the new Neo kits with a partial interior and Lincoln length tracks. Trumpeter have 3 new 135th kits this week. They've got a Hempt with a Sea-Whiz, which is a close-in weapon system, basically a phalanx on the back of a truck, which I've seen actually. It looks quite cool. They have an M65 atomic cannon. This was previously available under the I Love Kits label, but under Trumpeter should be a lot easier to find. That'd be great, the atomic cannon. Yeah.
It was that Renwald originally did the kit for that.
Did they really?
Yeah. It's going back to the 60s, I think.
I don't know. As a gunner, I'd be very nervous firing
An atomic
shell.
Yeah.
As it pulled the lanyard on the gun, I reckon your bummer will be puckering quite a bit, wouldn't it?
But then again, if it did go off, you wouldn't know.
Well, that's a good point. Yeah,
It'd be 1 second you're there, the next second you're just a memory.
You're just ash.
Not even that.
Yeah, just
Not even that. There's nothing there. You've just been completely atomized.
Also, there's a 2T-2MP2 Topol M, which is another of Trumpeter's missile and truck series kits. And Trumpeter's really punching their missiles on the truck kits out, aren't they? Apparently, ICM will be releasing a 1/35th scale new toolkit of the British Vickers machine gun. Oh, that's interesting. That's still rather small, isn't it, in 1/35th scale?
Yeah, it's fairly small.
AFE Club have announced a 1/35th kit of the AV4005 self-propelled gun, which is apparently a Centurion-based self-propelled gun.
Oh, okay.
Panda models will be releasing a 1/35th scale M1238 Max Pro Dash with a Spark 2 mine roller. And they'll also be releasing 2 versions of the mine roller separately.
I want to do that one day. Build a tank with a mine roller on it.
That'd be
really?
damn cool.
Yeah. I like the funnies.
You know which one of the mine roller type kits that have been released in recent years? Because they're quite popular, right? There's one done by Meng, and it's not even. I don't think it's even listed on the website anymore because I don't know. It's a very particular. Basically, it's one of them. Yes, typically sort of modern Russian tanks, but it's got no turret. It's got like a superstructure on top.
All right.
But the superstructure is all covered in like ERA bricks.
Yep.
And then it's got the mine rollers out front because all it's there to do is
just destroy mines. Yeah. Set off mines.
But it looks weird because it's like it's got this weird box on top and it's very very unusual.
Because I always like the Sherman flails or the ones with the big wheels.
Oh, you want the funnies?
Yeah, the funnies. Yeah, I reckon they're great.
I think the US Marines have got a Abrams. And it's got a turret, but it's got the main armament removed. And it's got all the gear on the front for, getting rid of the mines and everything. That looks pretty cool as well.
Yeah. What about the Marines? Then again, the Marines did some really weird stuff to
and
their
still
armaments.
do.
Like I remember watching this documentary. I can't remember the guy's name, but he actually invented his own gun by basically turning I think it was a 30 or a 50 cal aircraft gun into a hand weapon. They actually made about 5 of them. And these things were just lethal towards the Japanese. Like the super high firing rate of an aircraft 50 cal machine gun, handheld. Whoa.
Those Marines are crafty and tricky people.
Oh, they are. They are.
So have you seen the mine flail that they used to put on the I think it's either Matildas or Churchills or something like that?
I've seen one of the Matilda.
It was it's run by a separate engine.
Yes.
Mounted in a box on the side.
Yes.
And a guy had to sit in that box.
Yes. Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah.
In the desert, of North Africa. It's like, whoa, I wouldn't want that job.
So he's the same. It's the same as like remember the old Churchill ARVEs, right? The mortar ones.
Yeah.
They had to actually load the mortar outside the turret.
Yeah.
So you're in the middle of a firefight trying to loose a mortar off. It's like you fired your mortar and like, who's drawing the short straw to pop outside the tank and try and shove a new mortar in the barrel?
It from inside. But you had to sort of essentially like open up a hatch.
Yep.
And the gun's like facing forward. The turret's facing forward.
You had to expose yourself.
Yeah, and then like the sort of front portion of the gun flips up.
Yep.
And you insert it from below.
Right.
And then it drops down, and then you can fire it again.
Ah, right. Yep. So you don't actually have to crawl all the way. Oh,
no,
you just had to get out of the tank.
You still need to put like either your arms or your head in your arms outside of the tank.
Sniper bait. Yeah.
All right. And finally, Airfix have shown CAD renders of a Tiger 1 and Sherman Firefly in 1/72 scale. Apparently all new. Might be the start of a new line of 1/72 armour kits from Airfix. Bye for now, the Falcon.
Boom, boom, boom.
Boom, boom. And that's all we have for what's new in the modelling world. Yeah. And we're about now to lead into a really fascinating discussion and interview with Dave Wilson, who we're going to be talking about what happened at Wingnut Wings.
Yes,
so
getting the
lowdown.
Like a post-mortem or something.
Oh, yeah.
Get the lowdown.
Analysis as to what went wrong.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting.
There's a lot of conjecture out there, and to actually find out what really happened is going to be quite interesting.
Absolutely. All right, be back very shortly with that. And hello and welcome back to the show. And in this segment, we're going to be having a talk about and discussion, even a bit of a deep dive, to perhaps dissect what happened to Wingnut Wings, our beloved makers of World War I aircraft that suddenly about a month ago or so, just suddenly went blink and sort of disappeared.
Yeah.
So, and to help us with that conversation, we've got David Wilson. And David, for those of you who don't know, is from the World War I aircraftmodelers.com forum, which if you haven't been to before, I'd highly recommend. It's a great forum about all World War I subjects, not just aircraft. They also have forum sections for artillery, World War I vehicles, markings and camouflage. It's a fantastic resource with a great group of like-minded community members. So hello and welcome to David Wilson.
Thank you very much and good morning.
So, David, give us a bit of a background on you yourself. What type of models you like building? Perhaps a little bit of chat about your involvement with World War I aircraftmodels.com.
Well, the very first, my modelling history goes back to the late 1950s. And the very first model I remember making was a Hawk, 48 scale Newport 17 and screaming yellow plastic.
Oh, yes.
So I was sort of addicted to plastic models back in the 50s. And I started with World War I aircraft.
Yep.
but over the years, I've sort of expanded. So the interests area go from about the Wright brothers up to 1945. As soon as they invented jet engines, I lost interest.
Yeah, it just doesn't have the same feel.
It just, I'm a brush painter and I hate trying to do all metal schemes.
Oh, right, yep.
So I stick with things that I've found that most of the jet modelers are scared of biplanes and rigging. So I'm scared of silver planes. we each have our niche and we stay there.
Yes, yeah, that's same as always. I think.
Basically, I do World War One, between the wars, and World War Two.
All right, lovely.
So tell us a little bit about this fantastic resource, World War One aircraftmodels.com, and your involvement with that. Thanks, Dave.
The forum, the website address, he said getting the plug-in is forum.ww1aircraftmodels.com. It was created by the late Des Delator back in 2012, and I was helping Des in the background in the years since then. When Des tragically died in early 2018, his widow asked me to take over the forum.
Right.
So I've been running it since then, and we've expanded. Memberships now are over 3,500 and still going.
Oh, great!
It's considering World War One models are very much a niche in the hobby. We're quite happy with the way we're going, and we're getting bigger and with many ambitious plans, as you can imagine.
And if anybody who hasn't been there before, even if you don't like building World War One aircraft, as I said before in the lead-in, there's a section there for tanks and artillery. I don't believe you got one for ships yet, which perhaps mightn't be a bad one to put in there one day. But it's just a fantastic resource, and I love the little forum section on markings and camouflage. You got the amount of people who sort of chime in and give some expert opinions is just, it's a fantastic resource.
I'm constantly amazed. There's something about World War One models that seems to attract certain types of people. And we've got the most amazing people as members, and often you don't know who they are until they step forward and say, well, I'm a brain surgeon, I'm a lawyer, I'm a major international airline pilot. We've got architects. We've got so many people on the forum who, because of the nature of their careers, they have to think deeply and be experts in their fields. And this, I've found, spills over into their World War One modelling. They really get into it. And we've always fostered the image of the forum as it's a fellowship. It's a global community. We're not there to point score off one another. There's no flames, no flame wars, no trolls, no fighting. Everyone's there to help everyone else, and that means that our reference resources and our research is aimed at making sure everyone can get the most out of the hobby.
Yeah.
It's a great little resource, and again, I thoroughly recommend everybody who has an interest in anything World War One, be it aircraft, tanks, artillery, to perhaps go over there and have a look at it. And again, just another plug for you there, David. It's forum.worldwar1aircraftmodels, all one word.
Yeah, it's forum.ww1aircraftmodels.com. And we're also expanding into figures now as well.
Oh, that's a clever idea.
As well as the artillery and the trucks and the tanks. We're focusing on, basically I want to cover the entire World War One field, not just aircraft.
Yep.
Although aircraft, of course, is the core of it all.
Yeah, and speaking of World War One aircraft and the core of it all, the modelling world was aghast with the news that Wingnut Wings were closing down, or had shut down. And there were rumours swirling around left, right and centre. Oh, maybe it was just because it was during the COVID lockdown. And there was so many different sort of theories and crackpot ideas coming around. And I came across your article that you wrote, and it was really succinct, very well written, and I think it really went and perhaps dispelled some of the myths and even opened a bit of a chink of the door into what actually happened.
Thank you. One of the points that I got mercilessly trolled for that article on certain Facebook groups and also a couple of hobby websites that I shan't name. But the fact is that in my day job, I'm a journalist.
Yep.
And that article is the sort of thing that I've spent the last 50 years writing in the media.
Yes.
So I just applied all the media training to get the information. You work the contacts. Every bit of information in that article came from people inside Wingnut Wings. And there's a lot of stuff I didn't print for the simple reason that only one person told me. Every point in that article had to be confirmed by two people so that it wasn't just rumour. I hate seeing rumour and speculation printed because people grab it and suddenly it becomes fact. So I didn't want to print anything that I couldn't prove or I hadn't had confirmed by two independent sources. So that article, I believe, is the closest we're getting to what went on inside that organisation.
So, Dave, let's dive in. What actually went on inside that organisation?
Basically, to put it in its most basic form, the business got away on them. They got themselves involved, and this isn't officially from them because, as you know, Wingnut Wings organisation has been closed down.
Yeah.
And the Wingnut Group, which is the overall employer, have absolutely refused to offer any comment, to respond to any requests for comment. So there are no official statements on the reasons for their closure. And I can come to that in a minute. But from what the staff were telling me and what others have said within the industry is that they started off really well back in 2009 doing pretty much single-seat fighters and the two-seaters, which Sir Peter Jackson adores. He loves two-seaters.
Yep.
That's why so many of them were produced. But they started off doing a lot of single-seat fighters, and those sold like hotcakes. And then they got a little bit over-ambitious, and they started these giant bombers. Well, the prices went up. The kit sizes were phenomenal. And then you fast forward to this year, and you've got two enormous Lancaster 132 scale Lancaster bomber kits in development.
Yep.
You've got the Gotha G1 bomber and the float plane equivalent, the UWD, of which only one was ever built, both coming out. The research and development costs for those kits was well into six figures.
Wow.
And even many modelers have said, well, they should have produced the Lancaster and they should have produced the Fokker triplane because that would have paid off the debts. It wouldn't. There's no way that the sale of a few thousand kits was going to cover them.
It was too deep a hole.
Basically what they have done, and the speculation people have grabbed this belief, which is totally wrong, that Wingnut Wings is bankrupt. It is not bankrupt. It's a privately owned business, owned and funded by Sir Peter Jackson and his wife, Dame Fran Walsh. That's it. They simply, the money, it was costing them more to keep it going than they could justify. And so they just literally turned the tap off.
Right.
And the same thing was happening at the Vintage Aviator, where the replica aircraft were being produced. They pretty much shut that down as well. All manufacturing of the replica aircraft has been stopped. And they're now just basically in maintenance mode of Sir Peter's flying collection.
Although I think with the Vintage Aviator company that he was running, there was also a court case around that, which people were trying to link across to the Wingnut Wings brand.
Gene DeMarco, yes, Gene DeMarco was sent to prison late last year for fraud. It was widely reported in the New Zealand media, but I am assured by people right up to the top of Wingnut Wings that Gene DeMarco had no involvement whatsoever with Wingnut Wings.
Mm.
And what he did at the Vintage Aviator was not the reason for Wingnut Wings being closed.
Yeah.
They're basically two separate stories.
Yep.
It's always sad when a company closes down, be it a modelling company or any company, and our hearts and thoughts always go out to those employees who have been affected. Obviously, you've been in contact with them. How are those guys coping and how are they feeling?
They feel quite let down. They are the nature of, as the article said, they were basically got a phone call on a Sunday night saying don't go into work tomorrow. They thought it was because of the coronavirus lockdowns in New Zealand, but in fact the decision had been made to shut the business down. It was so sudden that their personal possessions were still in the office.
Oh. Mm.
And it's only this last week that they were allowed to return and get their private gear out of the office. They have had virtually no contact whatsoever from anybody in the Wingnut Group other than being told you're now redundant. They are especially disappointed, he said, in a very emphasising way. They're disappointed that there's been not a word from Sir Peter Jackson to them to say sorry and thank you for your efforts. He has maintained total and complete silence.
That's pretty shabby.
And we have emailed, I can say that I emailed him personally, not his corporate email. I sent an email to his private email account asking for comment for that article I wrote. And then with two approaches to him, zero response. The Wingnut Group have been totally, totally silent. They are starving this story of any oxygen so that it goes away.
Yep.
Tactic's been working a bit too.
That's a bit, yes.
Unfortunately, I think it's important. They did a phenomenal thing for the hobby.
Oh, they did, yes.
And their kits were breathtaking. I mean, God knows I spent enough on them. But they did a fantastic thing to promote World War I modelling to a mainstream modelling community. And it's just tragic that they basically chose to shut it down so suddenly and in total silence and secrecy.
But David, it goes a bit further than that, because I don't think I can recall ever, or perhaps with some of the Airfix fanboys, I can't recall a model company attracting such a loyal and large fan base, which has been justified by the kit that they actually produce. In that
quality. The
quality has always been top notch, from the decals through to the mouldings, through to the research, through to the instruction kits. Even you weren't just buying a model kit; you were buying a representation that you could build of history. And the audience that they were sort of pitching to were really involved, and they almost felt as if they had a personal connection to the company, did they not?
Very true. That was their unique thing, that they were able to project themselves beyond being just a model company. And it was pitched way back in 2010 as basically a model company run by modelers for modelling.
Yeah.
And that took off. That resonated with the community, resonated with modelers. People felt you weren't dealing with faceless corporates. You were dealing with modelers who were just as passionate as the rest of us.
Yes.
And yeah, they did. And although Sir Peter Jackson is copping a lot of flack right now, and frankly, he deserves a lot of it, it also needs to be remembered that without him, we wouldn't have had these kits.
Correct.
That he gave us this, and we've had 11 years of what I believe are the best model kits in the world ever. He's given us 11 years of them, and they will be around for a long, long time. I mean, you can still buy Aurora kits from the 50s.
Yes, that's right.
And there are, I'm told that there are well over 150,000 individual Wingnut Wings kits in circulation in the world right now. Probably more.
It's almost formulated its own currency too, to tell you the truth.
Well, I'm doing my best to buy them all up.
Yes.
And yeah, the prices have gone through the roof.
Oh, have they ever?
I heard the other day of someone who sold one of the Gotha G4s. I know that one went on eBay in America for $650 US.
Wow.
That was just a week or two ago. And I am told that there's another G4 recently sold just a few days ago for significantly more than that. And I'm looking at the Gotha G4 on my shelf and thinking, hello, trip to America. Because that one kit, which cost me $100, is now likely to return over 1,000. And that really says it all about just how addictive Wingnut kits have become, and just how much they have resonated with the modelling community.
Yeah, because I got that Felix Day myself. I think it was the Felix Day late. I'd be scared to see what they'd be worth nowadays.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd swap it for a couple of Airfix kits.
Oh, don't get me started on Airfix kits.
Actually, I'll throw in 3 Airfix kits.
I think I'll pass.
Well, I tried.
You did.
So, Dave, the other question that's sort of been hanging and has also caused a lot of discussion and rumours and theories is what's going to happen with all the moulds?
Oh, that's the big question. And whenever I say this, I should declare that I'm actually originally from New Zealand.
Yep. Oh, we couldn't tell by the accent,
I've spent 20 years in Australia. I am actually not an Australian now, but my background's in New Zealand.
Yep.
So I sort of understand how Kiwis can think.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when I say don't be surprised if Sir Peter Jackson sits on the moulds, everyone is assuming that he's going to sell them to Tamiya, Copper State Models, all these other people. That's not going to happen. He is most likely going to sit on them because he created these things, or he caused them to be created. I don't think he wants other people to undermine or demean or profit from his work.
Right.
And this is why, if you look at the Lord of the Rings movies, the set for the Lord of the Rings, when the films were done, were destroyed. And the reason they were destroyed is because he didn't want copycats coming along and using his toys to make a cheaper product. Right. And there's a lot of connection. People don't necessarily make the connections between Peter Jackson, the movie maker, and Peter Jackson, Wingnut Wings.
Mm-hmm.
But the point, and a lot of people don't get this, Peter Jackson has a formidable collection of real equipment.
Yes.
He's got real World War I tanks. Quite apart from his vintage aviator collection, he actually collects genuine artifacts from World War I. And they've just recently closed an enormous exhibition in Wellington, the Great War exhibition. And it was all his artifacts, which included World War I tanks, artillery, howitzers, you name it, he has it. So he's a formidable collector. He has tucked away in a warehouse in New Zealand at least one, and the rumour is 12, but one at least confirmed Lancaster bomber. A complete replica, 1-to-1 scale replica, made in China for the Dam Busters movie that's never going to get made.
Yes, I remember reading an article on that.
Wow.
Yeah, that Lancaster was fully assembled and test run back in 2009, and there are photos in the Kiwi media to confirm its existence. Well, that's been dismantled and put in a warehouse. So the moulds for Wingnut Wings kits are all in China and Korea. I'm told there are none in New Zealand. Right. All the design and management work and general production and development was done in Wellington, but the physical moulding was done in China and Korea. So rather than the enormous cost of getting those moulds out to New Zealand, I suspect he's probably just going to mothball them somewhere.
Put them in a warehouse somewhere and just seal it up?
Yeah, I mean, I jokingly said to someone, don't be surprised if you see Wuhan Wings appear one day.
Yeah, I was thinking exactly the same. Well, especially the moulds in China, because
I got China's not racist.
Yeah, because China's not big on copyright laws.
They don't recognise it.
No.
So I was accused of racism for saying that. But I thought, oh, what the hell? You know,
that's the truth. We see it every day.
Well, I recall years ago, hobbycraft kits from Canada, they were being ripped off by the Chinese and coming out in all manner of brands.
Yes.
So I'm not saying this will happen with the Wingnut kits, but I am told from people inside the Wingnut organisation that nothing is happening regarding selling off the moulds.
Wow.
There's literally nothing happening. There are no deals underway. I am aware of been a couple of people have approached them to maybe sound out selling the business, and they appear to have been ignored. So that would suggest to me, and this is just my speculation, that I wouldn't be surprised if Sir Peter just sits on the moulds. Well, maybe he'll bring them back one day.
Yeah, so I was going to ask you,
Maybe.
yeah. Would there be a chance of them resurrecting maybe in about 5 years' time?
I wouldn't rule it out. I mean, the trouble is the guy is unpredictable.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if he had plans to one day bring them back during in a better climate.
Mm-hmm.
The coronavirus didn't kill Wingnut Wings. It was used as an excuse to shut the business down because of other issues that were going on, mainly major financial problems. They basically overcommitted themselves and overextended themselves.
Yeah.
And the sales of kits did not return enough money to them to not only pay off the bills, but to fund the next project.
Yes.
And
yeah, what you're saying, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, when you think of other modelling companies, they're just modelling companies, and that's why when they go bankrupt, they sell off all the assets, right? But the personal connection is what made Wingnut Wings so good, and that's the same reason why they're going to hang on to all the moulds, right?
Exactly. The strength of Wingnuts and the fact that it was essentially one man's vision and one man's
obsession.
He had the financial ability to fund it, but it was also its weakness because he selected or approved the kits.
Yep.
And I think that it wasn't in the original plan for Wingnuts wasn't for it to become a profit-making company, but it wasn't planned to be a loss maker either.
Revenue neutral is what they were aiming for.
I think it was revenue neutral was the plan, and over the years, in the early days, they did really well. I used to literally buy every kit that came out, and then they stopped the free worldwide postage. Everything was billed in US dollars, and if your currency like the Aussie is not doing well against the American, prices go through the roof.
Well, they do.
And basically, they priced themselves out of the market. And I know the staff have told me that there was a lot of concern about some of these big bombers, like the Felix Stowe you mentioned.
Yep.
They did two versions.
Correct.
The Gotha G1 and the UWD, two versions. The AEG bomber, two versions. And the staff was saying, look, these things are giant and they're really expensive. How many are we likely to sell? A model is likely to buy 2 of the same basic design. Aren't we really just splitting our profits? And that was, I think that's proved to be true. Whereas the biggest sellers, the Albatross fighters and the Fokker D7 fighters, those things had a host of different colour schemes, and they came out in multiple repops.
Yep.
And they sell like hotcakes.
Oh,
yeah.
they do.
Yep.
That they do.
But also they don't take up a lot of space.
No.
I've got an Albatross D5 on my bench right now, and it's easy to work with a 32 scale model that size. If I had one of the giant bombers on the bench, it would be a bit of a physical nightmare, and I certainly wouldn't be buying more than one.
No, that's
And
right.
it's not just that; it's the actual displaying the model after you
Yeah,
finish.
where are you going to put it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would love a Lancaster, but there was nowhere I could put it.
They also demand like a larger bench to work on them, right?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think that because Sapita had the ability to say, oh, I'd like this one done, and okay, let's have 2 Lancasters, I think maybe someone should have said to him, Sapita, really, the size of those kits, yes, they'll be gorgeous, but the size of those kits, and H-Coat models have already done them. Half our potential market's already gone.
Yeah. So they would have been better to combine both Lancasters into one boxing.
A single box,
Yeah.
you can have either or, and maybe a little less detail, because that kit was going to cost in Australian dollars, I'm told, over $700.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that at that point, I'm starting to think, whoa, hang on.
Yeah, market's very limited to who can afford that sort of price for a kit.
I haven't seen the kit, but everyone who has said it's the best kit ever.
We were lucky to see some sprues at last year's Model Expo.
From a test shot, yeah.
From the test sprues, and it was amazing.
It was amazing.
Absolutely the best moulding I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah. Well, it and the Gotha G1 are the kits that killed the company.
Mm-hmm.
And not because they were bad.
No, they were just too ambitious.
There were too many projects, too many big projects at the same time.
Well, we haven't even touched on the Handley Page 0400 and the 0200, I think it was.
The Handley Page 0400 and the 0100 kits, yes, those were also close. So you've got that other big one. And, of course, there was the Handley Page 0400 1-to-1 scale flying aircraft that Sapita is having made in New Zealand.
My God.
God, that'd be huge.
No one talks about it, but it is one of his secret projects, is a 1-to-1 scale Handley Page 0400.
Wow.
Flying, a real one.
Wow.
So the company, Wingnuts, could have survived with a better business plan, I think. And certainly if they'd started off and said, right, we're going to do the World War I equivalent of Messerschmitts and Spitfires, then they could have really coined the revenue. But then Richard Alexander just the other day on a Facebook post said that Wingnuts' whole unique thing was that they did do the kits that nobody else would produce.
Correct.
And he's quite right in that it was a unique product. But I think they got ahead of themselves, and I think they lost touch with their core market. And I used to say to them back in the day, the people you're targeting, you're not actually targeting the mainstream World War I modelers. You take us for granted. You're targeting mainstream modelers who also do jets and Spitfires and 109s and so on. But those people, those mainstream modelers, can be quite fickle.
Oh, that we can.
And they're going to go for whatever appeals to them. The latest shiny kit will get them. It doesn't have to be World War I. But I think Wingnuts managed to pitch a very niche subject to a mainstream audience, and that helped popularise it. And it certainly did wonders for World War One models.
It did. And the one saving grace we've got, of course, David, is the fact that moulds never go off, so they can sit so long as they're stored properly. They can sit for many a decade and be hopefully ready to be used and brought out again in the future, and will still produce the wonderful kits that we've been used to.
I wouldn't be surprised if the kits come back one day. Now, that's based on pure guesswork, pure speculation. But as you say, the moulds will be sitting somewhere, and one day, in better times, somebody might say, "Hey, let's just do the Albatross and the Fokker D7s," or maybe the moulds might be leased to another company rather than sold. I don't know, but I don't think we're going to see Wingnut Wings as we knew it back in the near future.
Because the last thing you want to see is like, for example, the moulds being sold off, or someone acquiring the moulds and just not having the quality.
Yes.
So everyone's expecting these nice kits, and you get like sub-quality mouldings, and that's the last thing anyone wants.
Well, yeah, I mean, the moulds themselves are tied to the plastic and the methods used to make it. You can't just sort of...
and the quality control.
Yeah. But I mean, like, every company's got different plastics, so you can't just sort of grab the moulds and then throw any kind of plastic in it, and you got to tune all the settings and all those sort of things on those machines.
Yes.
The other aspect, of course, is the creative force behind it. Peter Jackson himself never produced a kit.
No.
But he caused the company to exist, and he caused those models to be produced. But that creative team, the digital designers, the manager, the decal designer, the mold coordinator, all of those people, there are only 8 of them, they've all been made redundant. And they have all now basically, they're all looking for jobs elsewhere.
Yeah.
So even if the molds were repopped one day, that doesn't necessarily mean that you can get the band back.
No.
To do new ones.
Yeah, be too many bad feelings from the staff. Like
they
wouldn't trust management again.
I asked them whether they would come back, and they said they would. They would under certain conditions.
Yep.
But yeah, they definitely feel that the place needed more of a different management style.
Yep.
I think would be a way of saying it. I didn't cover this in the article because it was veering toward personal comment, personal criticism. But they certainly weren't happy with the way the place was run.
Yeah. That was only a few years ago when that all changed, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'm told about 2017.
Yeah.
There was a big change at the Wingnut group because the Wingnut group actually covers a number of companies, not just the filmmaking. There's special effects. They're doing the movie effects for the Avatar sequels. So there are fingers in many, many pies. And Wingnut Wings was just one very small entity.
Yep.
But they've been the Wingnut group have been going through all the companies and cutting costs. And I'm told that the changes at Wingnuts, essentially the atmosphere changed in late 2017. And the staff say they knew that this was coming. They just didn't know when it was coming.
Right.
But there were people are saying that the writing was on the wall long before anyone had ever heard of coronavirus. But it was an opportunity to use that to shut the business down.
Yep.
And even on their website this morning, they're still claiming that due to coronavirus, everything is shut down, which is totally ridiculous because New Zealand's reopened.
Yeah.
And there's no reason for the business to be closed. But they will not come out and say it's been formally closed down.
So, David, if somebody wants to read the actual article that we've been referring to, and you've spoken about parts of it anyway, where can they go to actually read that article?
The article, you're talking about the article that I wrote?
Yes.
Correct, yes.
It is on the It is one of the posts on the What's New page on the Aircraft Models forum. So if they go to that web address, forum.ww1aircraftmodels.com, and go to What's New, you don't have to be a registered member to read. Everything's free.
Mm-hmm.
The article is there. And it's also been widely reported on hyperscale, large-scale planes, and various other sites as well.
Terrific. Dave, thank you so much for spending a time with us today. We really appreciate your view of the world. And please get in touch with us if you hear anything else or any changes that might be coming through, because I'm sure you've got your finger on the pulse and you'll no doubt perhaps have a bit of a head start to anybody else who knows what's happening in that particular world.
Well, I could always come back a little later. I can't do it yet, but no, but later on, there might just be a story about all the kits that we never got to see.
That'd be a fantastic follow-up, but I think it would also be make a lot of people cry as well.
Yes.
I've got a list here in front of me, and I'm not allowed to use it yet.
Oh, when you can, pencil us in.
Yeah, get in touch with us, and we'd love to have you back on the show.
Definitely, David. Yeah.
I tell you what, you'll be weeping into your coffee when you see what we almost got.
Oh, boy.
Happy to help, and we're delighted that World War One models are getting a good profile.
Yes,
because it's important that the hobby survives.
Oh, definitely,
absolutely.
The direction of the forum now is we were not a Wingnuts fanboy site, although a huge number of Wingnut fans were on the forum. But the thrust now is to say there was World War One models were around long before Wingnuts came on the scene.
Correct.
And they'll be around for a long time to come.
Yes,
absolutely.
And we've got other companies coming up fast. Copper State Models.
Yes.
Yep. Their Newport kits are breathtaking.
Yes.
They are Wingnuts quality. And there might be some other manufacturers looking at getting more into World War One now that Wingnuts have closed.
Well, there's an open part now in the market, and some of these companies would be crazy not to step in.
Wingnuts, unfortunately, they didn't intend to do this, but Wingnuts did rather intimidate other manufacturers.
Oh, yeah.
And now that Wingnuts have gone, other manufacturers are starting to look at it and think, maybe.
Mm.
So I would say that World War One will carry on.
Yep.
There's going to be more models. Sadly, the Wingnuts chapter seems to be closed. But with so many kits in circulation, and I'm told less than 10% have ever been made, they'll still be trading.
Mm-hmm.
I'm personally willing to give a home to any Wingnut kits that people can no longer abide under their roof.
No, what an accommodating soul you are.
I'm a very benign vulture. But I think we're going to be talking about Wingnuts for a long, long time to come.
Definitely.
Yeah, we are. David, thanks very much for being with us.
Thank you.
And as I said, please reach out and get in touch with us if you with that other discussion that you mentioned earlier on. Thanks very much for being on the show.
Thank you so much.
Well, that was a fantastic and illuminating discussion on Wingnut Wings.
Oh, was it ever?
So
there's so much conjecture out there of what happened and what's going on, but to actually speak to someone who
has been in touch with
in touch with the actual employees, and heard what they have to say, the inside news, it's
absolutely
really opened up my eyes.
Actually verified sources.
Correct.
Yes, he's applied his journalistic integrity.
Yes,
in presenting the story that he's presented. So, I do think that we'll see them again, and I do believe it will be revived in a different concept.
Right.
Or format than to what it was.
Because it just seems a real waste. Like, they've got the molds now for the Lancaster, for the DR1.
I know.
The Aviatix Star Strutter.
Yeah, and David actually alluded to a lot of other models that we hadn't even heard of
that that
really far down the track in development.
Yeah,
so
hopefully in the next month or so we'll be able to find out what they were and
Yeah.
share it with
yeah,
share the sad news.
Yes, yes.
with the general public.
yeah. So that'll be interesting.
Mm.
All right, well that's it for a humongous show.
That's a big show today.
So let's get to our sign-offs. You'll start with Julian this time. So sign off from you, Julian.
Well, I guess there's nothing wrong with buying more tools, is there?
No, there's not. Thank you very much.
They can be a bit pricey though. That is the downside. But hopefully it's a one-off. You have to replace your tools
until you break them.
Well, if you're like me, you buy a new pair of tweezers every I don't know, year or two because they wear down and they don't hold things as well as they used to somehow. Maybe they get
Where's out
lost.
tweezers? Geez, that's doing a lot of work.
Actually, you know what? He's not far wrong because I've got some of those no, not Infini. Display tweezers with a really fine point on them.
Oh, the ones you stab yourself with all the time, yeah.
Yeah, and I've actually getting to the point now where I might have to buy a new pair because I've actually slightly bent one end because they're that delicate. I've had to sand it back, and it's slightly off matched now.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the fact that you've sanded it means it's slightly round.
No, it bent round, so I sanded the bent bit off because there's no way I could bend it back. It was like a needle end almost.
Mm.
Yeah, you'll snap it if you try and bend it.
Yeah. So
I find that I'm using my tweezers often enough that when I have to pick something out with my fingers, it feels really like
does, doesn't it?
It feels like I'm wearing gloves, you know.
boxing gloves.
It's like trying to Have you ever tried to sort through pieces of paper while wearing gloves? It's near impossible.
Yeah.
I know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
Ian.
Oh, sign off. Yes. Well, I'll try something different this time.
Oh, what?
Yes.
Oh, hang on. Okay.
You quickly learn, Dave, that violence is not always the answer.
Yes.
When a mosquito lands on your testicles.
It's too. Oh my! I'm not even going to go there as to why a mosquito managed to get there in the first place.
That's my sign off.
Well, if you link that through to models, though, I'm not sure if I can agree with that because putting a model in the bin is a great way to end a model.
Actually, the best way is to
it's the most satisfying.
Put a firecracker in there.
All right, guys, it's been great to hear from you. We'll be back in a fortnight with the next show. In the meantime, everybody stay safe and thanks for
Happy
listening.
modelling.
Bye. Well, we hope you enjoyed that extra long show, and wasn't that discussion on Wingnut Wings just absolutely fascinating? In the meantime, if you want some more modelling goodness, don't forget to listen to those banjo-picking hayseeds from Kentucky, the Plastic Model Mojo, Mike and Dave. And, of course, you've got those crazy Canadians from the Scale Model Podcast, Anthony and Stuart. We'll be back in a fortnight. Take care and see you soon.